For Investing Summit. This is our third year doing this event and the third of many more to come. We're so thrilled to have you all. Just first, before we started off, want to thank all of our fantastic sponsors for sponsoring this event, all of our attendees, our media partners. We couldn't do this without you. We have a full slate of things going on today. Most of the events will be occurring in this room. So feel free to go through the agenda and look at all the fantastic speakers and moderators that we have. If you have any questions about the event, feel free to find anyone in one of these blue tags. Happy to help with any questions that you may have. And without further ado, we'd like to get things started with Scott Schober, who will be speaking, giving an intro on market outlook, as well as revealing a pretty exciting list that he'll be telling you about as well. Scott, thanks for being here.
Well, certainly exciting to be here this morning. I would certainly welcome each and every one of you. A beautiful event and an exciting day of a lot of things ahead that we all can look forward to in the world of cyber investing. So again, I'm honored to be here to provide a few welcome introduction comments here to get our event underway. And certainly this is a very important event that I'm sure most of you, it's near and dear in the investing community. Just briefly, I'm Scott Schober. I'm the president CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems. We're a 46-year-old privately held company. We mostly focus in on wireless threat detection tools that we sell to different cyber agencies and DoD agencies. I'm also author of Hacked Again. I am also a advisor for BlockSafe Technologies, where they're doing some unique things securing the blockchain. And then I'm also the chief media commentator at Cybercrime Magazine, and Cybersecurity Ventures. More importantly, though, why are we here today? What brings us all to this event? Well, just a few weeks ago, reflecting back at RSA in San Francisco, many of us are familiar with that. I had the privilege of speaking there, and presentation after presentation, we heard about cyber breaches and statistics and the continual problems that we have in the world of cyber and how it affects each and every one of us present, be it as a consumer, as a company, as investors. It affects each of us. In August, I look forward to going out to Black Hat in Vegas, and there it focuses a little bit differently on some of the trends in hacking, the zero-day exploits. But again, let's face it, cybersecurity and these breaches affect each and every one of us in a powerful way. When we think about the world of tech, all the different things that are happening around the globe, when we look at the headlines, hasn't it in just the past year somewhat turned upside down? There have been huge changes in the world of tech. Let's talk just a minute about Facebook, Cambridge Analytica. It's been in the headlines certainly there, where our privacy and our data have been challenged, especially with the size of a company as big as Facebook, how powerful they are. Who would have thought that Facebook would be asking politicians for help with regulation? I know I certainly didn't. Rather surprising, is it not? Facebook just announced that there are another 200 companies that have been found that violate their data sharing policy. Astounding. So we'll see how this unfolds because it affects all of our privacy, all of our data. The world of cryptocurrency, that's something that certainly has got all of our attention, does it not? Unprecedented growth. It's got the attention of everyone. And what do I mean by that? Everywhere we go. I don't know about you, but myself, friends, business colleagues, they'll come up to me and say, "Did you buy Bitcoin? What did you pay? Did you sell?" Everybody's talking about cryptocurrency. In fact, a year ago, in May 2017, about this time last year when this event was held, Bitcoin was trading about $1,800 per coin. Interesting, December 12th, 2017, I got a call to go to the New York Stock Exchange on Cheddar TV Live to talk about the hackability of Bitcoin and discuss it a little bit. So I shared some thoughts there. But in the process of that, I was pressed a little bit, and they said, "Scott, where do you think Bitcoin is going?" said, well, I'm not necessarily a buyer and seller of Bitcoin. If I had to guess, though, I would say it's probably going to soar up to about 20,000. I believe it's a bubble, and eventually that bubble's going to burst. Something's going to happen. Something's got to give. Well, what happened? About a week later, so maybe it was a little bit off, December 18th, Bitcoin just missed hitting $20,000, where I thought it was about to, before it started to adjust there, and it settled back down and on its downward curve. Now it's somewhere in the 8,000 range. It's trading about a year later. Still, when we think about it, astronomical growth for a cryptocurrency that really created this, what I call Bitcoin bubble. And what did it do? It spawned an ICO craze that's got a lot of people's attention these days. It's incredible. Yet, ironically, more than half the ICOs in the past year have failed. So it's interesting how that works out. So everybody is racing to get into the Bitcoin market. How about Google? Think about that for a moment. They had their big I/O developers conference last week. They introduced hundreds of new features, a lot of new exciting technology. That certainly, as a technologist, it gets me excited. But everybody was talking about probably one thing, duplex, if you're familiar with that. Now, we're probably all sick of the endless barrage of robocalls. I know I am. It never ends. You get that annoying robotic voice on your mobile phone at the worst time, and it can drive you insane with some pre-recorded spam message. Well, Google upped the game to a new level of AI, artificial intelligence, or depending upon how you put it, I call it sometimes annoying intelligence. But take a listen. I want you to listen just to this short audio clip, and I want you to see if you can discern who's the human and who is the robot.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
Could you tell the difference? Which was human, which was robot? Tough to tell. I asked the 3 members in my household. They couldn't discern the difference. It was hard. Why was it so hard? What did Google do there that was so innovating? What they used was sub-vocals. So the words that we typically say, if we're presenting, if we're talking, it may be and those little word whiskers. And of course, if I'm up here saying those things, I'd probably be hauled off the stage, right? Yet ironically, Google adds that as a feature to their AI engine there, and they're actually praised. Why? Because it sounds so convincing. It's scary, but it's exciting at the same time. So certainly some things to come ahead we're looking forward to there. Yesterday, we know it was a hectic day. I got a call right when we heard about the PGP encryption was supposedly hacked, and media may have got the headlines a little bit off there. It wasn't exactly hacked, but we think of PGP encryption. It's been around for about 30 years. It's a secure means that we can email people encrypted files. And yet, then they're claiming that this has been hacked. Now, there's certain vulnerabilities that were discovered, and it was really more toward the email client was specifically where the compromise was there, the potential compromise and vulnerabilities. But again, what does that do? It raises the conversation about privacy, about security. How secure is the information that we believe we're sending? Emails, documents, pictures, video. That's what happens. It stirs the questions and gets the conversation going. So yes, as I mentioned, the world of cyber in some ways and technology is turning upside down as there's constantly more breaches, more compromises that affect all of us, that affect our families, that affect our businesses. In fact, everyone, especially in this audience, appreciates one of the most important things to combat this trend is what? Investments in cybersecurity companies. When there is capital that's put forward and put into these think tanks, these cybersecurity companies, what happens? They can grow quickly, they can innovate, and they can battle the latest threats that emerge. Think about this. The severity of attacks, they continue year after year. In fact, what do we appreciate? The federal government, they're increasing their spending on cybersecurity continually. Why? Because they see what a threat that this is causing. Today, you're going to hear from Gary Malevsky, who's going to be speaking. Among many accomplishments that Gary has, he was the founding member of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So look forward to hearing what some of his comments will be today. The threats are continually increasing, causing serious financial damage, especially to this economy. In fact, the Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, recently shared research from Cybersecurity Ventures at the RSA conference in San Francisco a few weeks ago. In her keynote address, she informed us, all attendees there, that global cybercrime damages are expected to cost the world $6 trillion annually by 2021, up from $3 trillion in 2015. Staggering numbers. Again, that statistic we've probably all read and heard, maybe even quoted many times. The future outlook, more and more companies are falling victim to ransomware attacks. They're evolving, they're becoming more convincing, more sophisticated. Phishing scams, fraud, whaling attacks, social engineering scams. These are becoming very convincing and very effective. And we should be nervous, we should be scared, because we need to better combat and battle these emerging threats. In fact, Cybersecurity Ventures predicts that the world will spend $1 trillion cumulatively on cybersecurity products and services. $1 trillion over the next 5-year period from 2017 to 2021. It's an astounding amount of money. Well, Cybersecurity Ventures is excited to announce its first ever annual Cybersecurity 500 list of the world's most hottest and most innovative companies. These are cybersecurity companies that we want to be following, that we want to be associated with, that we want to deal with, because these are cutting-edge companies. In fact, we're going to show up here the URL. It was just posted. Feel free on your laptop, your mobile devices. You can certainly bookmark this. You could take a look a little bit later and see some of the details of these astounding companies that made the list, that were successful enough to do that. You can feel free to scroll up there if you'd like to. And the URL is simply cybersecurity500.com. You could put that into your web browser. You could see the list and look at some of these companies. Very exciting, very honored to make this prestigious list there. And of course, this is also available if you go to Cybercrime Magazine that Cybersecurity Ventures puts out. On the very front page, it will take you right there as well, so you could take a closer look at that. Well, maybe more specifically, just to whet your appetite, what's coming shortly following myself is some great presentations that we ask that you take time, listen, meditate, absorb some of the information that we're going to be hearing today. We're going to be hearing from Bob Ackerman. He's on the board of directors for several cybersecurity companies. Many of you probably know him. And many of the companies he's on the board with actually are on this Cybersecurity 500 list. Very exciting. Dragos, vArmor, CallSign. Bob also served on the board for some Cybersecurity 500 companies which went into successful exits. Very interesting, is it not? We have Tom Kellerman. He'll be presenting today. We want to pay close attention. He's the Chief Cybersecurity Officer of Carbon Black, a hot company, again, on the Cybersecurity 500 list. Look forward to his presentation. I'm going to read a quote. You may have read this. It says, "The Cybersecurity 500 gives the same convenience and wisdom to people interested in the cybersecurity industry. IT departments, analysts, journalists, and consumers now have great lists from which to learn about the industry and its current providers. The Cybersecurity 500 list also offers a great window into emerging technologies from newer firms, which often solve problems about which everyone knows, but has been unable to address. This was stated by Joseph Steinberg, who's a well-known cybersecurity expert, entrepreneur, author, speaker, former Inc. columnist covering cybersecurity, and one of today's speakers. So we certainly look forward to what he has. The world of tech has turned our world upside down, certainly, but with cyber investing, we have a fighting chance. In fact, here's another quote from somebody we're about to hear in a moment. Cyber defense has never been more critical than it is today. And the Cybersecurity 500 recognizes the companies to watch on the front lines of the battle, stated Dave Dewalt. Dave Dewalt is a cybersecurity legend in the making, says Steve Morgan, who's the founder of and CEO of Cybersecurity Ventures. Dave has helped more cybersecurity companies start up and grow than anyone I've known in my 20-plus years in the security industry. When he sits on a board, it's not just as a figurehead. Dave mentors founders and CEOs based on his string of major success in the software industry. Most recently, chairman and CEO of FireEye, which was the #1 company on the Cybersecurity 500 list. David Dewalt is chairman, vice chairman, and the board of directors for several cybersecurity companies which appear on this distinguished list for 2018, including Optiv, Clarity, Elusive Networks, Forescout, ForgeRock. And Dave Dewalt is at Momentum Cyber, co-founder and chairman, and Allegis Cyber managing director. So now we want to take a time to please welcome David Dewalt as he heads us into our keynote that we certainly all anticipate. David.